You're listening to the Guitar Heroes podcast.
And we're live.
We're live. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good one this year. Well, things can only get better, surely. So
It started off well.
Yeah. I'll probably
Lockdown
know the
round
answer
3.
to that. I've got to be honest.
Here we are
Is
again.
anybody
Here we are.
bothered that we're in lockdown? I'm not. Are you bothered?
I think we've just got used to it. That's the sad reality of the times we're living through, isn't it? We've just it's just kind of one of those things. I think we saw it come in with the events over Christmas.
Not in my house. There was very eventless in my place, but there you go. But we did you have Chris? Did you have a nice Christmas? Was it quiet? Did you go into any illegal raves?
I didn't, unfortunately. But no, it's been a really nice, quiet Christmas actually. Tons of Christmas films, and when you got a kid as well, I got a 6-year-old as well. So it makes Christmas way more fun as well. You get to be a bit of a kid yourself, and so yeah, I've really enjoyed it actually. And festivities are still continuing. I've still got tons of cheesy biscuits to work through, and Samwell and port. I haven't even opened the port yet. So
You haven't
Oh well,
opened?
save it. I'll help you if you like.
oh yeah, okay.
Have you taken your tree down?
I've taken I've taken everything down. Yeah, we did that. New
Yeah, I
Year's
can
Eve.
see that. Put your trousers back on, Chris. I should just point out that at this stage I'm second glass of port in already because we're filming. Oh dear, I'm going to be no good at all today, am I? We are recording this podcast in the evening
We are.
via Zoom, and yeah, I opened a bottle of port an hour ago. So good luck, guys. Oh, good. Where did we get to? Did we ask you, Chris? You've got cheesy biscuits and things like that to demolish.
I
And
do.
Lee, what about you? Your Christmas? Were you good?
Oh yeah. It was lovely. It was a bit different, as was everyone's, I suppose. But it was nice. As we said before, I love Christmas. I think we all agreed that we love Christmas, don't we?
Mm.
Thank you to everyone that
Yeah.
listened to the Christmas podcast, by the way, and a special shout out to those people that listened on Christmas Day, because I've checked the stats and you can see day by day when people are listening, and we had some listeners on Christmas Day. So,
God, they must have had really boring Christmases, mustn't they, to listen to us on Christmas Day? Was it anybody's mum or dad? Do you think it wasn't mine
No.
because they were round at my place getting slowly sozzled?
may well have been, but yeah, it was a nice one. Thank you, Phil. It was good. It feels very strange to already be in 2021. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like that last gig was both ages ago, but also just last week. I think the lockdowns and the weird life we've all been living has done something to the way we feel time. Certainly for me, very strange. Very strange.
Yeah, I was supposed to be gigging with a friend of mine on Christmas Eve, and obviously that got cancelled.
Oh no.
But yeah. So that was it. That was a shame, but not a shame in a way. I was looking forward to the gig, but it was about 400 miles away. So I didn't miss the travelling, but it was a shame because I like gigging Christmas Eve. I don't know what it is. I don't have kids or anything like that, but I don't like the festive atmosphere of gigs on Christmas Eve. I think we might have discussed this before. I can't remember. But
Yeah. We said you very often work Christmas Eve. What did you guys get up to on New Year's? Because obviously we're very used to working New Year's, but I guess none of us were
I
this
think
year.
I was saying to Amy, my wife, it's the first New Year's Eve I've had off since I think I was 17. So it's been a long time, and so I went out and bought 2 lovely steaks. We had some lovely red wine. So it was just a bit of a foodie evening, and some films.
did you cook them?
It was really great, actually.
You did cook
The
the
steaks?
steaks. You just
No.
got to buy them. Yeah.
No, I went with I was following Gordon Ramsay step by step.
Oh, so you had to swear at them a lot then, did you?
Oh, absolutely. Effing this, effing that.
I got this is my second New Year's Eve of not working. I decided a couple of years ago I wasn't going to work anyway, so it didn't make any difference to me. But we decided that because we was probably going to get a couple of people around, a couple of friends round, and do that New Year's Eve. Obviously, we couldn't, so I ended up ordering in a Indian takeaway, which was delish. It was very nice.
Oh, where'd
That
you
was
go
our
for
New
that?
Year's Eve? Oh, where do we go? I think he's changed his name. I think it's called Shalim's Balti House now. It used to be Weymouth Balti House, but yeah, we went there. But it was
Oh.
so busy.
That place is
Oh.
that place is great.
It's awesome. But yeah, it was so busy. They were like, oh, I couldn't get through on the phone, and then they said to me, well, we can't deliver because it's too far away. 2 miles away from the place. I said we're just so busy, and so I went to pick it up, and yeah, there's just queuing for takeaways. So I reckoned, me and my maths head, I reckoned that they were taking about 150 quid every 10 minutes.
Wow.
Which is like, wow.
We're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a Shalim's last night. Funny you should mention it.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh man, it's was it last night? Night before. Like I said, I'm losing track of time here, but yeah, really good. I really don't like New Year's. I've got this thing for me. I think because I like Christmas so much, I see New Year's as sort of like the end of everything fun. Because then you're just immediately plunged out of December, which is warm and cozy and festive, into the kind of the harsh realities of January, and you've got to start that climb again as we make it through the year. And just the resolutions and the build up of it. Oh, it's got to be this fantastic night. Yeah, so it was quite. That's why I always make an effort to just be out working, because then it's just like another day at work. But this year, it was quite nice to just not have those pressures of either going to some crazy gig and having to work, for hours and hours over midnight, or the pressures of like, oh, it's got to be a great party, we got to do all that. It was like, no excuse to do nothing. We wandered down the beach with a bottle of champagne and popped the cork at midnight on the beach, which was quite cool. But
Did you
and
do
then
that? Oh, wow.
yeah, and then had to leg it because we thought, oh, there's actually quite a lot of people around, and they're all sat on the beach. And as the clock struck 12, everybody just started letting off fireworks. But it was essentially just groups of chavs sticking fireworks in the sand, just going, timber!
Oh,
It was
no.
like, it was like a scene of Saving Private Ryan or something down there on the beach. It was crazy.
Wow, that's amazing. So part of the because I think am I in the hot seat today? I am, aren't I?
You're in the hot seat today, yeah.
I didn't even know. I thought I was in the hot seat, so I've prepared nothing. So that's good, isn't it? But no, there's a few things that I've got an idea, a rough idea.
Okay.
Like I remember on the last podcast, I said we were going to talk a little bit about sort of Christmas presents. Something that you'd buy a guitar player for Christmas. What do being a guitar player? Do you get Chrissy presents that are suited to you? Or do you get useless things? Or do you think, oh, I wish somebody had bought me a set of strings this year? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I always put a list in. In fact, I've put next year's list in now to Santa.
So no one has any excuse. Like it's like I gave you a year's notice.
Yeah, I go, what's this, a Gibson Les Paul? Oh, I don't want one of these. Well, I guess I'll start, but I wouldn't dwell too much on this because I kind of want to go to, because I know what Lee got for Christmas, and I want to talk a little bit about that in a minute or two.
Okay.
But I got for Chris 2 things. One, I got a vegan guitar strap for my 335, which was awesome. I think I've mentioned these
how did
before.
it taste?
Unmeaty. Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah, nice with a bit of tikka masala on there. It was lovely.
Oh,
yeah.
lovely.
So yeah, I got one of those. It was my mother-in-law that got me one of those by a company called Right On, and they're really cool. In fact, you guys have seen it because we had a photo session over Christmas, didn't we?
We did, yes, yeah.
Which I guess anybody listening to this, if you're into the guitar show, they will be revealed at some point. Excuse me. So yeah, I got a guitar strap. It's really cool because it's kind of padded on the inside, and it's leather looking. It's got a nice pattern on it, and it holds picks, which is great because, as you all know, my picks float away. So it's really good for.
Well, the thing is, you drop a pick, it doesn't even hit the floor. It
No.
like the air catches it, and it just flies.
We said this the other day. Phil's picks are so light that they're the only ones when you drop, they actually go up. Like helium balloons just floating away. So if you come to a show, it won't be the people at the front row that get them. It'll be the people in the circle.
It's all the people doing the follow spots and things like that. They end up with loads of pics every.
You see Phil just chucking his pics into the audience, and all the audience members are literally just jumping up and down. Just
okay. While we're on that point, because this is loosely a guitar podcast. What gauge are they, Phil, for the listeners?
They're not as light as you think. Actually, I've not got me. I've not got me readers on.
They are quite light, considering most people. I mean, in general terms, I think most people would assume light picks pretty useful for sort of strumming and loose playing. But if anyone's seen the show, that you know that generally Phil's doing everything far from strumming and light playing. So what is it that you use?
Well, let's get a bit of context here, Chris. What gauge do you use?
I don't know.
That's great.
They don't say anything on them. I just go with generally what feels nice. But
they're quite sturdy, aren't they?
They're quite sturdy. I think they're about 1.14 mil. I think these are the ones I'm using. The Ultex Jazz 3s, quite small. This was a new transition for me, and still getting used to them. But they do feel quite nice. But
that was a great recommendation, Chris. Who was it that recommended you those picks? Because they must really know
some guy who works at Absolute Music. What's his name? They got rid of him a long time ago. He was terrible, apparently.
I've heard he joined some sort of travelling circus. I don't know.
Well, Chris came in for a guitar. He said, "I got £2,000 to spend," and I said, "Don't worry about that, Chris. Have you seen these plectrums?" And that was it. That was my P45.
But if he'd have said that to Lee, I've got £2,000 to spend. If Lee had have said that, he'd have got like 24 squires, wouldn't he?
No, I would have had one squire and banked the rest. Invested it.
In Epiphone.
Yeah.
So
Epiphone, actually, I have been looking at Epiphones. Like there's a John Lennon acoustic, isn't there? Is it based off that? Is it an actual Epiphone acoustic? I think that's out. I'm not sure what that's called.
It's a J160E, I think.
Yeah, but that's a single coil pickup in the neck, near the neck, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's got I think it's around $2,000 as well. So quite a hefty amount of money
for an Epiphone.
Yeah.
They do make some Japanese ones. They do these I forget what the term is. It's like inspired by or some sort of elite range of Epiphone, and they're Japanese made. So apparently they're pretty good.
Also, do you know when you say Japanese made and what have you? I mean, obviously my number one Strat's Japanese made, but my Setzer, I've got a Brian Setzer Gretsch, and that I think I had a look on that for insurance purposes. If I was to buy that new now, it'd cost me nearly $4,000. And I had a look on there, I'm thinking that's bound to be a USA. It looked on the back, made
Japanese.
in Japan.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Yeah, the best stuff comes out of Japan, like Yamaha drum kits. A lot of Yamaha stuff is made in Japan, I think, or I think some of it's now moved to China. But the production of Yamaha stuff's great, and obviously we use a lot of their products.
Well, my Transacoustic is amazing. I mean, Chris had a bit of a play on a guitar. You had to play on the Takamine, didn't you? When we had the photo shoot.
Well, obviously, being a big fan of Bon Jovi and Springsteen, obviously this is the model they use. I can't recall the model number for anyone listening, but
it was the one that sounded really dead and felt plasticky. Sorry, Chris.
Well, I'm not being funny, but that I think it retails at just about £100 more than what this Transacoustic does, and I'm sorry, the Yamaha just blew it out of the water completely.
It did look good though.
It did look great. But yeah, Yamaha stuff is just worlds apart from that, I think. And obviously, I love the Strats that came out in the 80s, the early Japanese ones. I think yours is an early 80s one, isn't it, Phil? Or
85, 1985.
Yeah. Because I believe they had the Gaki plant open in Japan in the early 80s, 81 I think. But they had sent a load of custom shop builders over to that plant to train all the workies up. And the stuff that came out of there is incredible. Apparently, I haven't had the chance to get my hands on one yet. But
well, the 80s got really confusing for Fender, particularly. If you get a look at the era right when Fender retook control of itself from CBS, they had this problem where the American production was virtually dead in the ground because CBS had moved out and taken all the money with it. But Fender had a load of stock tied up in Japan. So instead of wasting that stock, they brought a lot of Japanese parts and bits over because they really wanted to push the American brand. They wanted to rebuild it, obviously, and come back stronger than ever as an American brand. And that's why you get all these kind of the waters are somewhat muddied there between what was Japanese and what was American for a short while.
I know the very first Squires. They had the Fender logos on there, and it had a little tiny Squire on the end of the headstock. And I believe they were American guitars that just had this little Squire logo on the end of it. And I know somebody that had one of those. It was the 52 Telecaster reissue. And it was an amazing guitar, one of the nicest Telecasters I've ever played, and it said Squire on the end.
I think they're the JV. It's called the Squire JVs. They got the JV serial numbers there. Yeah, they're nice guitars. They are, but I must admit, I think they go for a little bit more money than they're kind of worth. They've got this hype behind them now, where they are fantastic guitars for a Squire, but you see them fetching like $1,000 or so now, and I don't know. But it's quite like
I think it's the history people buy into more than anything, isn't it? You know,
well, you've got to think what's going to be the new vintage, haven't you?
Well, if only we had a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I have been looking. I think you mentioned the model, Phil. I can't even think of it now. I can't even come to mind.
Bullet.
The Bullet. Yes, I have been looking. I've got my eyes on one. There's a red one on eBay. It's 1981, I think. And absolutely stunning. It's like 800 quid, and I just think for a guitar of that age, you know.
Yeah. Watch the pick guard, because the pick guards can rust on those things. So if you can get one that's not got any rust or any paint bubble on it, then hang on to it if you can get one.
Did you? Is it a Nitro guard? Is it, or
is it what?
Not is it? Did they coat their guards in nitro or no?
No, it was a metal pick guard and they just painted it.
Oh, really? Oh, right.
Yeah. If you look at the bridge, there's no fancy bridge.
No, it's just the just saddles, isn't it?
Yeah. The pick guard's bent up, and then I think they did the Bullet 2 or something, the Bullet Deluxe, and then they put a proper bridge on it then. But the pick guard is literally just bent up, and they've screwed some saddles into it.
I was going to say, did you mention Epiphone? Did you see the Gibson news just a few hours ago that they
Mesa Boogie
purchased Mesa Boogie? Yes,
yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm going to say I don't know what to think about that. I'm not sure.
No, I want to say it's a good thing, but then I'm still not quite convinced by Gibson. I keep hearing, funnily enough, actually, when we did that photo shoot and we popped into Absolute Music, they were still saying, Gibson, not quite the home run that we'd hoped for. I think great guitars, but just the distribution and the logistics they've always struggled with. So, but I guess Mesa needed the help, from what I hear. I think their shop in Hollywood closed, and with that went all the history in the workshop, and so if it means the brand's saved, then I guess
that's the thing. Yeah. I used to have a I think it was late 80s Boogie. I got it off Ben Crow from Crimson Guitars. I actually swapped it for my Blues Junior, and it was a great amp, really, really nice amp, but it was just a bit unreliable. Probably because it was stuck in Ben's workshop for years, and it was every time he switched it on, it coughed out sawdust. But when it was working, it's the nicest amp I've ever had. But I think it was a Studio 22. I think it was. But
lovely,
amazing amp.
Lovely. Yeah. They're great. Anyway, we've gone on a tangent. Phil, what plectrums do you use?
Oh yeah. We were okay. So what's your
Well, I'm the same as Chris, actually. Boring answer, but I've always used the Jazz 3, and right now I'm into the whatever they are. Yeah, they're over a mil thick. They're pretty stiff. I always use the red one, but now I'm into the Ultex stuff. It's
Okay, so you guys are north of a mil of a plectrum. Mine are 0.6 of a mil.
0.6, and they're what is it? The Dunlop nylon.
This is the Dunlop Max Grip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like these. I used to use one. There were Brain Picks. What were they called? They were purple. They used to come in a little tin. They just called them Brain Picks, but the consistency weren't right. You know, I'd get one batch that was perfect, and then I'd order some more, and they'd be slightly lighter, and then another batch would be slightly heavier. And I was like, oh, I can't be doing with this. So, and they're quite hard to get hold of as well. So I just went onto these Dunlops. And been a faithful user ever since. Nice.
Yeah, for years actually. I used to use what they called the Dava picks. Are they? I think they were called Dave or something.
Yeah,
I just call him.
DAVA.
That's it. Yeah, I used to just call him Dave. You got any Dave picks?
All right, Dave.
But they were great because they had like a bit like these Oltex ones I've got here. They got like a grippy part for your thumb.
Did they have like a rubbery sort of grip on them? Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and then it then smoothened off for the bit that you attack the strings with. They were quite nice.
Yeah, I do remember those.
Cool.
I think a customer gave them to me once. Talking of, I don't know why my mind's thought of this, but the other day I've been binge watching all the live music on Amazon. I know I've sent you guys some messages. Just signed into Amazon Prime over Christmas, just to kill some time and watch some movies and whatnot. And I didn't realise they had such a wealth of live music on there. All these great concerts. And I was watching, Chris, you'll like it, Fleetwood Mac. I think it's called The Dance.
The Dance, I got it on DVD.
Oh man, it's awesome! And the reason that's
show,
just come to mind is because obviously Lindsey Buckingham doesn't use a pick, but he's also got a stack of a couple of Mesa Boogies behind him as well, and it was a wicked sound he's getting.
Yeah, he's a great guitar player actually, Lindsey Buckingham. He's actually one of my favourite guitar players. Like I've attempted to learn some of his stuff in the past. There's that song "Big Love" off Tango in the Night. That it's a bit distorted here, but yeah, it's quite. His thumb is constantly moving as a fingerstyle approach for that song. It's quite a difficult one actually.
Is that the one that on the DVD on The Dance he did it on a nylon strung classical?
Yes, that's right.
Man, that is awesome, and he's got like a bit of a slap back delay, so it creates this rhythmic thing.
Yeah, but it's the drama in his voice as well. He just vocally alone can really drive that song, and with his guitar playing, it's such a great combination. I know he's not with Fleetwood Mac anymore, is he?
No, I think they've got Mike Campbell, haven't they?
Yeah,
I
he
think
got fired again, didn't he? He keeps getting
Lindsay?
fired. Yeah. Was it? I think it was Bill Clinton.
Keeps getting too romantic, doesn't he? I think maybe.
Yeah, but I think it was Bill Clinton said that he wanted. I can't remember what was it. Was it? I can't remember some event. I can't remember whatever it was. It was a long time ago, and he said he wanted Fleetwood Mac to play at it, but he wanted Lindsey Buckingham there. Otherwise, he didn't want him.
Oh right.
Yeah. So they probably hired him and then fired him again the next day. There's a lot of history in that band, though, isn't there?
There is, but I think that's. I was watching it, and it's amazing to see those five on stage. And obviously, you have got this amazing tension because you've got the two couples or ex couples, haven't you? And then you've got old Mick there hammering it away on the drums, just making these crazy faces. But there is definitely a sort of I don't know, like this sort of tortured magic between the four at the front. It's very strange. There's a tension, isn't there, that you can feel whenever you see it. Yeah. But I think that is the magic of that band.
But also their harmonies. I mean, I can't get over just how good. I mean, their voices all separately are so great. You got Christine McVie, right? Who plays the keys.
Yeah,
she's got such a sweet and delicate voice, hasn't she? It's very soft. And then you got Stevie Nicks and then Lindsey Buckingham, all combined. They just sound great together. And that performance, The Dance, is something else. It's so good. And like, I would love to see them live. I've never had the opportunity, and
it'll be amazing.
One day.
It'll be amazing. But it's just hit after hit, and you're
it's
right.
It's got to be with Lindsey Buckingham, though. I think it's not the same without him. I don't think.
No. I watched the live in Boston a couple of nights ago on Sky Arts, I think it was, and there was Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie wasn't there. Apparently, she leave in 1998, I think.
There was a period when she was gone, wasn't there? There was a
and there's two backing singers there doing all the harmonies.
Oh right,
and it did sound different. It did. It sounded slightly different.
I find it weird. I know there's this whole argument with Fleetwood Mac, isn't there? Oh, are you into the Peter Green Fleetwood Mac, or are you into and people sort of get really I don't know, angsty about that, don't they? The real Fleetwood Mac. But for me, it's like that Fleetwood Mac didn't exist for like 4 years or something. And then you've got all the history, like post 1970, 1971, with the lineup that we were just talking about, and all those tunes and those like Rumours, and it's just I don't.
I mean, it could have been a different band, totally, but I think it was all great, wasn't it? You know, whether you didn't matter.
Yeah, that's
it was
what
all
I mean.
great. And
It is all good, and it is quite different. But I've come across a number of people that were fans of that early incarnation, and they're really defensive about it, and almost just don't want to know about all the other stuff, like 50 years of music post Peter Green, and they just don't.
oh, maybe
know.
their underpants are too tight or something. I don't know.
There was some other good stuff on there. Definitely Toto live in Poland.
I've got every single live concert Toto did anyway, so I didn't see it. I've got
that is awesome. That is killer. I've just been. What's that? What's that, Chris? Oh, right. For the listeners, Chris has just presented his collector's edition vinyl single of Toto's Africa, and it is in fact shaped like Africa.
Oh, look at that. I tell you what, Chris,
it's extremely rare. I did actually have a look online.
Oh no. Chris has just dropped his extremely rare collectible single of Toto's Africa that was once worth quite a bit, but is now in pieces.
The screen just froze a little bit then. I kind of lost you. The internet connection went, and all I saw was the Africa there 1 minute, and then just a clear sleeve.
And just Chris crying.
How'd you do that?
I'm laughing, but I'm crying at the same time.
What sort of condition is that in then, Chris?
It was in mint condition.
Hey, that'd make a nice pic. We should have, you know, I was talking about Christmas presents a little while ago. But you could have got Chris one of those pick punchers, and he could use it for that now, couldn't he, on his Toto record?
Oh man,
God, blimey. So
anyway, yeah, the Toto live in Poland that was killer. So
it's brilliant. Yeah, I've seen Toto live twice.
Oh,
They're
really?
Amazing. Yeah,
oh, wow.
Yeah. I saw him in Leeds.
Leeds,
many years ago when I was probably about 17. And they had Greg Bissonette on drums because Simon Phillips, I think something happened. I don't know. I might be wrong. Somebody might quote me on this, but I think he was in a car accident and couldn't do the gig. So Greg Bissonette went and depped for Simon Phillips, which was, I was gutted because I was like, oh no, not Simon Phillips, but it was still a great gig, you know. And then I saw him at the Uncle Albert Hall in London on their, which tour was it? It was where Bobby Kimball was with them. Is it Falling in Between? I think it was that tour. Right. And Simon Phillips was there for that. And the sound was... Oh, and I looked over at one point to look at the sound desk, and Brian May was sat there.
Huh? What?
Yeah. But that was an amazing gig. Probably one of the best gigs I've been to. That and Bryan Adams.
You're listening to the Guitar Heroes podcast.
So I got another Christmas present as well. It wasn't just a guitar strap, and I've got to be honest, I've had a revolution. No, I haven't. I didn't mean that. Did I? What have I had? Revelation. That's it. Too much pot. And I've got an Apple Pencil.
Oh.
And it's amazing. I can write on my iPad. I never need to use paper again. No more trees need to be chopped down or anything like that.
Oh, you could do all your little drawings at the gigs now.
I don't need to bring all my crayons because I can just choose whatever colour I want on there. It's amazing. But it's good for like music and things like that because, like I said, I was depping with somebody else I was supposed to be over Christmas. And it's great just for making little alterations and things like that on the iPad, music and stuff. It's fantastic.
Check you out getting all technical.
Listen, I tell you what, I'm going to be like RoboCop soon. I tell you what, all this technology that's surrounding me, it's awesome. I'm really getting into it. I'm embracing the microchip.
Do you think the listeners of this podcast are ready for the Weatherspoons app story yet, or should we save that for another day?
That was a long time ago. I can't believe you brought that up. Well, you do realise now that you can bring that up if you like, but I can top trump you from what you did last time on the podcast.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll save it for another day. The great Scottish prawn incident. Does Chris know about that?
There's only one prawn here, Lee, and he presses delete. I'm sure of it.
Okay, that will remain between me and a large glass of brandy.
So did anybody get anything Christmassy for anything guitar-y for Christmas? Or Chris, did you get anything that was?
I did. I got a guitar strap as well.
Did you?
I did. This
You know,
is,
for guitar players, a guitar strap's like socks and underpants for normal people, I think, isn't it?
It
We
is.
get guitar straps instead of socks and undies.
You open
Yeah.
my underwear drawer and it's just full of guitar straps. So yeah, this strap I got, my wife bought for me. This is made by Air Straps in the UK,
Okay.
and it's color matched to fit my gold Les Paul.
Nice.
And yeah, it's actually really nice. A really good weight. Doesn't like some straps can really dig into your shoulder a little bit.
Chafe. It doesn't chafe.
Chafe. It doesn't chafe like some underwear, you know.
Someone's tuned in just at that point. They've just heard Phil go, chafe.
We're probably best doing this in the morning, this podcast, because I tell you what, I've started drinking at 7 o'clock. So
I know. Can you see how rosy I am on the screen? I'm usually pale as anything, but tonight I'm all rosy.
I've got a red wall in front, so I don't look any different, thankfully.
Hey, talking of gold Les Pauls, and back on my Amazon music watching tangent, I was watching ZZ Top live from Texas.
That's great, isn't it?
Got to check it out. And there's when they do just got paid, Billy switches over to his gold top, which I think is the one that's like really heavily routed out, and it's got the pinstripes on. And it's open tuning with the slide. Man, the tone. It was great, the whole concert, but when he got handed that Les Paul, I was like, huh? Just had to stop what I was doing and just listen to that with the slide.
Because he has the tops taken off and all weight relief, doesn't he?
Yeah. I believe he goes as far as on some of them as having the fretboards removed and then the wood kind of routed out of the neck as well. So it's
So it just goes to show, doesn't? Oh no, you can't get chambered guitars. You don't get the tone that you should do. Well, balls to that, obviously, because it sounds awesome.
Have you seen the rig rundown with Elwood on YouTube?
Yeah, I've often thought of how much it'd cost to have the top taken off my Les Paul, because it weighs about the same as one of those cruise ships out in the harbour. I think that'd be quite nice to have a bit of relief on that. I think, but it probably costs more than it's worth to have it done, I guess.
I think his Les Paul, I think it was something like £5 or something, which is just crazy. £5 or £6 for a Les Paul. And of course, he's playing it with like 8-gauge strings or 7-gauge strings, something ridiculous. But apparently, he's just got the lightest touch. His tech said he can rarely actually strum the guitar himself because he'll put it out of tune, so he has to kind of get it in and then leave it. Because
he obviously uses 0.6 picks. So what did you get anything guitar-y for Christmas, Lee?
I tell you what, I haven't actually started reading it yet. I started flicking through, but my stepdad got me Texas Flood, the inside story of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and it is awesome.
Oh, nice.
Hardback book with, I mean, it's essentially a biography, I guess, that's been accumulated over the years, and it goes way back into his history. So much stuff in there that, like, the mainstream guitar player wouldn't know, but it's filled with pictures as well. So you've got all these awesome pictures from like young Stevie behind the scenes, and having just flicked through it already, I know it's going to be a good read. It's really going to sort of delve into the man behind the myth, I think. So yeah, looking forward to getting into that.
I'll tell you what, if you're into books, I mean, I've got loads and loads of guitar books. I sort of collected them since I was about 15 years old. But I got one last year when the lockdown hit in March. I thought, I need another good book. And I got Billy Gibbons' Rock and Roll Gearhead. That's really good. It's got all his cars in there and his guitars. And that's a good one. If you,
I bet that's a great read, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I love the smell of a new book as well.
I'm with you
there, yeah. Oh, blimey. Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with that. There's nothing like sniffing a good book or a magazine.
That was a unanimous vote, wasn't it? The Guitar Heroes podcast proudly
Moving
endorses sniffing a new book. You're right, though. It's the first thing I do when I get a book. I look at it, open it, just sniff the pages.
It's the whole experience of owning the book. Obviously, you could get a Kindle, where you're reading everything off a screen, but physically holding a book, the smell, you kind of like get drawn into the book, don't you, a little bit more? And
I never want to crease a new book. When I get a new book, I'm always sort of reading it, and I'm like, I don't want to crease it because it's.
It's the first thing I do is get it and literally stretch it. So it
That says something about our different personalities there, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not. I kind of barely open it just so I can just see in there, so I don't like crease anything, or I like it as
Just
new
kinda
as
like-
I can keep it. I glitched out again then.
You did a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I glitched
okay.
out of it.
Look, we're in lockdown round 3. Did you see that thing that's going around online? The Star Wars quotes about lockdown. It's
No.
like the original trilogy of Star Wars. They're saying a new lockdown, the lockdown strikes back, and then Return of the Lockdown.
Oh no.
So we're in the 3rd film at the moment, Return of the Lockdown.
Oh,
But hey, let's show a little positivity because that vaccine's still being rolled out. So the thing I keep telling myself, I just keep thinking, yes, it's bad, but it's not a step backwards because the timeline for the vaccination is still the same. The vaccine is being rolled out. So that kind of end goal that I guess we're all working towards and hoping for is still the same. So I feel like fingers crossed we're on the home stretch now.
Let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, a lot of the guitar show gigs were supposed to be out in January. Obviously, that didn't happen. So our next one is on the 17th of April, which is at the Stables in Milton Keynes. Whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. April seems a long way away, but it really isn't. This lockdown again will just fly past.
Blimey,
So,
April.
yeah.
April. By the time we get back on stage as a show, it will be over a year since the last one. That is absolutely bonkers, isn't it? That is just
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be strange. It'd be a strange feeling heading back out on the road again. I mean, it's funny. I was saying to Jay, my wife, I was saying that it's really weird because after Christmas is usually the time I get really stressed because it's a new show going out. There's lots of rehearsals, lots of organisation, marketing, and the list goes on. It's a really stressful time of year for me, but it's also a really nice time of year because I get to go back out on the road again after a couple of months break usually.
yeah.
And that's not there now. I've not got that. I'm not going to be staying in snowy hotels up north or anything like that anymore. There's going to be. I wonder if we'll get to Scotland. Will we get snowed in or anything? all these type of things.
Yeah, you never quite know if we're going to make it to the gig at this time of year, do you?
exactly. But yeah, that's not there. It's really weird. In fact, I think that's probably the weirdest part of this Christmas for me, knowing that after January, after Christmas, beginning of January, nothing's happening.
I guess for you, because you've been doing the show, well, obviously more years than I have and more years than Chris have. But that is a really, for us guys, it's a great thing about the show, isn't it? That it's really busy in the dark seasons. And typically, as a working musician, you tend to be busier throughout the summer seasons where there's parties and weddings. But it has been nice for the time that I've been with you, obviously, to, like you say, have that to get you through that normally quite gloomy time of the year, but we get to look forward to going out and working. But strange to not do it this year. Very strange.
Yeah.
But that first gig back will be epic, won't it?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know if April is going to be wishful thinking. I mean, if there's certainly talking about lockdown being till the end of March, then no, it ain't going to happen, and maybe even May's not going to happen. So everything's all up in the air. We don't really know. But anyway, enough of that. I want to, because time's ticking on. I just want to briefly now just talk about, because Lee, we should do a drum roll for. Can you do a drum roll, Chris? Can you go or something like that? Ready?
1 second.
Hang on. He's getting ready.
Oh, you're in for a treat here, folks. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Williams is now on to vinyl. He's got a record player.
It's
Yay!
true. Thanks to my wonderful girlfriend, I'm now in the gang.
Yeah.
Part of the cool club.
One of the cool gang. And what I was going to say is just if one of us, if each of us can say their sort of the Desert Island vinyl disc, what if you
Phil,
could
you should have
take...
prepared. You should have gave me this question yesterday, so I could really.
No,
think about
but that's
it.
the whole point about this. I don't want you to be prepared. I know what mine is. I'm going to give you just a couple of seconds to think about yours. But I haven't seen this vinyl anywhere. I got it. I got it in Weymouth, not expecting to see it at all. and it's by one of my favourite bands in the whole world. And if there's one album I could just take with me, it will be this. And I see if anyone can get it, because it starts like this. Okay. Any ideas?
I don't know if it's because of the glitching over Zoom, but have you got a heavy tremolo on? Came through like.
It definitely doesn't sound like that. Oh, I hope it doesn't when we send you these files anyway. All right, it's Dire Straits, and it's the Alchemy, the double live album.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say Dire Straits. You seem to. That's one thing I love about your playing, Phil. You seem to really nail those Knopfler nuances and things. And like, I was going to say Dire Straits, but I don't recognize what you played. So.
Well, I did get another one, another album for Christmas. It was it's like a compilation album of all Dire Straits songs, and Money for Nothing. It's quite a rare one, I think. You don't see it that often. So somebody bought me that, an original one. And I think I'm just missing one more, and that's On Every Street Live. And then I have every single Dire Straits album on vinyl. So
awesome.
And it sounds great. Never mind all these, iTunes and listening to it on AirPods and all that type of thing. Vinyl just is, it's just so much better. It really is. I think you've got to smell it and listen to it and hear the
drop
crackling and drop it. Yeah. So yeah, that's.
Did you hear the sound it made when it hit the floor there? Cracking that was, literally.
So that's my sort of desert island vinyl for me. So Chris, have you had 30 seconds to think about it?
I have. This is really really tough, Phil. Actually, normally I would say like Frampton Comes Alive, which I love that album, very nostalgic for me. But I absolutely love Hunky Dory by David Bowie.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
Just, I don't know, you got songs like Changes, Life on Mars, and there's such a good mix of songs on there. And I don't know, just something, it does something to me when I listen to it, and just really mellows me out. And yeah, absolutely love it. And actually, I was listening to this album the other day, and I came across a really interesting story. So I might actually jump into Chris's corner for this.
I almost forgot.
Wow.
It's a new year. It's time to throw over to Chris's corner.
Almost sounds like this is planned, but it totally isn't. It's just weird.
Go on, Phil. Phil, you say it. Go on.
Cue the music.
Chris's corner.
Okay, so as I was listening to this album, I always then kind of like jump on internet and have a listen and kind of find out some details about how the album was made and stuff. And but I came across a really interesting fact, and this is more of like a trivia thing, more than like Chris's corner, I suppose. But I got it here actually. In 2015, a Canadian astronaut named Chris Hadfield released his first album, which was entirely recorded whilst he was in orbit.
Okay.
This is amazing. Not only was he the first Canadian to walk in space, he's also a talented musician who went viral with the cover of David Bowie's Space Oddity, which was recorded in the International Space Station, which I think it was absolutely awesome.
Wow.
And I just thought, yeah, that was worthy of Chris's corner, I thought, today. So
that is cool. Did I see over Christmas Malmsteen put on Instagram that one of his tunes has been broadcast into space or something? I'm sure I saw that. He's got like a gold disc that he's been sent to say that this has been broadcast into space.
I don't know.
I thought, well, of all the things to go up into space, if there is life out there and they've just been treated to some neoclassical shred, more is more.
To be honest, you can actually hear Malmsteen's guitar from space.
You can hear his wall of Marshalls from the International Space Station.
But I thought that neoclassical thing had kind of, it almost seems to have kind of died out a little bit now, don't you think? And like we're onto like it sounds like we're onto like a new wave of guitar now, where almost guys like Malmsteen isn't overly relevant anymore. You've
I
got
don't
like
know. Yeah, I don't know how long he really was relevant. Was he? I mean, besides his technical genius, obviously, I don't know how relevant that music ever was. I'm sure we've touched on this before. It's one of those things that you can flick to, have your mind blown, and go, "That's amazing," but I can't.
But it's
I can't
almost
listen to
perceived
it.
relevant
that
enough
way,
to
but-
own 1,000 guitars and about 15 Ferraris. So,
Well, yeah.
But it's almost perceived that classical isn't as relevant nowadays in today's culture. But I think I read a while back, a few years ago, Mozart's music had outsold Adele and some other famous artists.
What, back in
and
the
it-
day or since?
And recent, it was like 2000, around 2010 or 2015, somewhere in that time
Wow.
period. Yeah,
man, he's
Mozart's
been going a
music-
long time, though, hasn't he?
He has
He
actually.
had a long career.
I'm sure you and him were mates, weren't you, Phil?
Don't be stupid. It was Beethoven.
I like this. Like this new Chris that we're discovering as we go along. He started as such a pleasant and timid lad, and now he's just he's.
It's the trouble. You give me Sam McGraw.
Give you Sam
Yes.
McGraw and, watch your
This is why I
record
drink
collection. It
green
ends
tea.
up on the floor in pieces.
I'm like that angry guitarist on YouTube, except it's that angry vinyl collector. You know.
Smashing Africa.
Yeah. So Lee, you're new to vinylism. What's
Yeah, I think I'm too new really to say what my desert island disc would be. I've just jumped straight into it and I'm just loving it. I'm just addicted to it already. Just browsing eBay and I've got a list of things that I want to get, but I don't know. It's only been something recently that's sort of crept up on me, probably over the last year, maybe through lockdown. I've just been thinking, yeah, vinyl's something that I think it's my time. I think it's time I should sort of turn to it. And I just have to say, yeah, the experience is just awesome. Sound quality aside, because obviously there's that whole argument. For me, it's definitely more about that experience. A bit like we were saying with the books, how you love to get a book and sniff it. And I appreciate the music that I'm listening to in a completely different way. And I would say if you're a
Absolutely.
musician or a music fan and you need to reinvigorate your love for listening to music, vinyl is the way to go. Definitely. I'm like hooked on that. And I'm buying albums that I've heard 100 times over, but I'm so excited to hear them and to see the cover and smell it and, look at the aging.
It's
on the
all about
cover
the
and-
smell, isn't it? It's all about the smell and the crackles and.
Definitely, that's just that sort of experience of looking over in the corner and seeing the record just turning away, and it's like a physical process happening in the room to make this sound. It's
And
so
what I
cool.
think it is, it's that it's not perfect. You get an album off your phone on streamed on iTunes or something. It's mastered perfectly and it just sounds very crisp. Whereas a vinyl's, it's sometimes a bit all over the place with, especially if your stylist is a bit knackered or something, and and I think it almost brings you into I'm trying to think, like as back to the time when the album was perhaps recorded. You can maybe get a sense of maybe what the artist was feeling with the record, because especially if you can listen to it truly analog,
Yeah.
But yeah, just the overall experience. And obviously this is a new journey for you, Lee, so it would be great for anyone listening if they could maybe send in their recommended list
Send
of
me some
vinyls for you.
recommendations. Definitely. Like I say, I've got a list that's growing, but it's that I appreciate the music in a totally different way. And you're right, Chris, you do experience it. You get a sense of the fact that you're experiencing it, how it was intended. Assuming you're listening to a record that was made in the era of vinyls, because obviously these days you can get CDs that were made digitally and have been cut to vinyl. But buying something that was made in the 60s, 70s, 80s, in the era of vinyl, I'm listening to albums and even just that idea of having a side A and a side B and sort of hearing it like a play of two parts. Totally different way of listening to, and of course, listening to it from start to finish and not skipping tracks. It's given the albums that I've got a real, a sense of value that I think you just don't get with digital music. It's too easy to flick onto iTunes or Spotify and just, there's the Beatles, done. There's Jimi Hendrix, done. And you sort of you sort of toss it away and it doesn't have any value. But when you're sat there with a physical, a tangible item in your hands, you're staring at the covers and you've made that conscious effort to go, I'm going to listen to a record, or we're going to listen
Yeah.
to a record. Sit
But it's
back.
yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I was talking to my dad years ago, who obviously got me onto vinyls. He was telling me as a kid, like he'd do his paper rounds or whatever jobs he had as a kid, and would then go and take his money at the weekend and go and buy a record and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, you know, at the time, obviously Thin Lizzy were around and stuff, and it's like, oh, you get to go out and buy Live and Dangerous or something, you know, on vinyl. I mean, how incredible is that? And I always feel like I've grown up in the wrong era.
Definitely.
Like I would totally fit in then, I think. And but even then, I think coming home, I used to come home from school and I used to lie on my bed, and I remember sticking on Moonflower by Santana, which had the track Europa on, and just listening to that solo over and over again. But I actually destroyed that vinyl because it's constantly back and forth. And
Well, you're obviously
then-
good at destroying vinyl. We've just seen that.
yeah, clearly very careless, I think.
And I've enjoyed using the speed control as well, because you often hear
You can make them
guitar
sound like
players-
chipmunks, can't you?
Well, yeah, doing that, but you often hear guitar players who are maybe a generation or two above us, and they're saying, "Oh, back in our day, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have this. We used to have to sit with the record and slow it down." And actually being able to do that gives you a real sense of what some of our heroes, I guess, must have gone through when they were trying to figure out their favourite songs. Yeah, it's just I guess reinvigorated my enjoyment of listening. And like I say, all of a sudden now I'm on eBay and I'm finding all this stuff and just going through, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that, I want to get this. And
Well, it was funny you should say that about eBay, because I mean, obviously at the moment there's nothing we can do. You know, we can't go out and buy a record or anything at the moment.
no.
But there's nothing like going to a record store and, you know, sieving through everything and then finding that one. Sometimes you don't even know you're looking for it, and you
Yeah.
just find, and it's like winning bingo. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my God.
It's
Yeah.
just such a feeling. You go, oh, I did it with an original first pressing of Iron Maiden, Live After Death. I think we were gigging in Kettering last year at some point, beginning of last year, and I just found this record store, and they had Iron Maiden, Live After Death, and I'm like, I didn't even know I was looking for that, but wow, that's amazing. You know?
Actually, I'm gonna make a shout out to anyone listening. I've been after a vinyl by Steely Dan called Asia. That's spelled
yeah.
AAJA. I can't get hold of one, so if anyone has, you know, a spare copy, send
Don't
us
give
a
it to
message
Chris; he'll
and
break it.
You get
Cheers,
so
mate.
excited with it that it'll just smash it on the floor.
I bet it's
Oh,
one of
no,
these
but-
as well. He gets, oh, I just had an ice cream, and goes, sticks it on his forehead because he's too excited.
But no, you're
Oh,
right,
okay.
Phil, because we've done that on the road, and I'm really looking forward to being able to do that now. Because I've just enjoyed going to record stores in the past. I never had a reason to buy a record, but it is just fun to sort of thumb through them and see what you find. I've actually got some records that I've kind of been given over the years by people who know I'm a guitar player and gone, oh, we're getting rid of our collection. You might want to look through this, and I've just taken them because they look cool, you know, just to have. But I've never ever got to play these records. So now I'm finally getting to play them and hear them, and it's I've lost count of what I've ordered, because that's another cool thing. If you're buying on eBay or you're buying these records, obviously second hand, unless it's something particularly rare, they're relatively affordable. So I kind of went through on eBay and just sent off a load of random bids. I was like, oh, £5 for that, £8 for that. Oh, I'll have that. That's £9. And just thought, well, I'm not going to win all this. And then over the course of the day, it was like, bing, you've won. Bing, you've won. I ended up winning about 5 or 6 records. God knows what's turning up tomorrow. But today, Eliminator, ZZ Top arrived. And that for me is just that album cover with the car. And just to put that on and just hear that, you know, the drums of Gimme What You Lovin' was like, man, this
I'll tell you
is
what,
cool.
you must be so into this, because I've never seen you spend money before. So you must be really into it.
Well, I did say they're relatively affordable. I had a look for Dark Side of the Moon, and I was like, £100, nah.
Yeah, I've got that one.
Yeah, my dad, he sold actually a lot of records last couple of years ago, but he had the Wall album. It was a limited edition. Had like a book in it and everything, and had because back then I think some records he showed me that he had used to come with stickers and a poster inside the vinyl.
Oh,
You'd open up, there'd be like stickers and stuff. So, and like, yeah, I think that sort of stuff is really cool. And I think, as you were saying earlier, Lee, clearly your excitement's so there with it, and that's the difference. You know, grabbing up a record on your phone, it's so easy. You just search for it in iTunes and it comes up. Whereas it's an actual conscious effort to get the vinyl out,
Yeah.
get the record player on, and you know, you're
Mm.
gonna. It's an absolute intention to listen to music at that point, isn't it? And
Yeah. I got for Christmas I got the record player, and then my mum got me Van Halen 1, which is just, I think we spoke about this before, funnily enough, on a podcast. It's almost like she was listening. And what an experience. It's an album that I've heard time and time again, but just to take that out the sleeve, look at the cover, obviously that iconic cover, which is actually, you can see it just behind me there, probably going to go up on the wall because it's awesome. But just to hear those tunes come in over the crackle of a vinyl player, it's just like, man, I want to say it took me back to 1978. I wasn't alive in 1978, but it gives me a sense of going back. And
It was a
yeah,
good
just
year. Yeah, I remember it well.
well, you'd know.
I will.
I got in there before you, Chris. But yeah, it just makes you enjoy it in a totally different way. So, yeah, thanks, guys, because you kind of motivated me to jump in. So
Yeah. You
I'm
know,
in the
every
club.
time when we're allowed out again, we were looking through each other's record collections, weren't we? We'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll go that one. Oh, look at that.
we'll be in your studio, Phil. You go to make us a brew or something. I'll be like, Lee, do you reckon he'll notice this if this is gone?
I would if
Chris
you
will slide my
take it,
coat
it'd be
down.
bits.
I was going to say, Chris will be like, Lee, do you reckon Phil know if I take this out and smash it on the floor?
I'll come back. I'll be going, what's all this black plastic all over the floor, Chris?
You look out your window and you see these vinyls just flying through the air. And
Yeah, but you won't mean to do it, will you? I know you. You'll be just like, oh, this cannot stay in my hand.
sorry, guys, I had a moment.
There's definitely something exciting about vinyl, though. It's weird how it's coming back. I mean, my
Yeah.
postman today, who delivered Eliminator, it was wrapped and packaged, obviously, but he knocked on the door 'cause he couldn't get through the letterbox, and he said, "There you go, mate. There's your vinyl." And I was like, "Huh?" He was like, "Obviously a vinyl fan." And we had a little chat, and he was like, "Oh, can't beat a bit of vinyl." And I was like, "You know what? You can't. Thank you, my man. Have a good day."
Brilliant. Well, that's probably a good high note to end it on, I reckon. It's first podcast in 2021, and who's in the hot seat next week?
Well, if today was you,
Hmm.
if we can call that you, we should make a note there. Phil, effort, B minus.
0.
I think.
Phil, maybe
Yeah.
Phil, you could jump on this again next week.
Yeah.
And this could just be our just get together episode, just
New
after
Year catch
Christmas.
up.
Oh,
Year catch
okay.
up.
So
There you go.
okay. Well, I
there's the
didn't even
title
do
for
a
you.
Phil's rant today because I felt, well, it's a new year. I don't want to start on a bad note and start ranting. So
Oh, it's not
I'll
the same with that one of your rants, though, is it, Phil?
Well, maybe not. But
I just enjoy saying cue the music, to be honest. Maybe I could
Cue
just say
the
cue the music.
Phil, we
Um,
do need to get your dear other half, Jamie, on the show at some point because
yeah,
obviously she's a massive part of the show.
yeah.
So at some point we'll need to book that in because that'll be interesting. I'm interested to get her perspective on things about life within the show, but also life with Phil Walker. Life
Well-
with Phil Walker in lockdown round 3. There we go. That's the title for the podcast.
I think she'd probably say something like, "It's wonderful, and I'm such a lucky girl," is what I think she's going to say. Yeah, I think that'd be about right. Yeah, we don't need to get her on now. I've just said what she'd say. Yeah, but no, we definitely do because it'd be great to talk. It'd be great to talk to Jay about that. Obviously, I know behind the scenes and what have you, but there is definitely no story of Guitar Heroes without a Jamie. Definitely not. She's not just my my other half, but she's my business partner as well, and she's definitely without no Jay there'd be no show. So
Well, we'll do that then. We'll get that booked in. So let's
Yeah.
throw those socials out. Thank you again to everyone that listened to us last year. It feels very strange to say that.
and Christmas Day.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, special shout out to those people that listened on Christmas Day. I do hope it made your Christmas Day better. If you want to find us, you can search Instagram. Just search for Phil Walker Guitar, Chris Anthony Guitar, and Lee Troy Guitar. If you want to find us on Facebook, search for Phil Walker Guitarist. I forget my own name. What's my name? It's Lee Williams guitarist, and it's Chris Anthony Guitar. And of course, you can search for The Guitar Show. It's the Story of Guitar Heroes on Instagram or Facebook, or head over to the website, www.storyofguitarheroes.com.
And of course,
and if you want to
YouTube.
search on YouTube, I was coming to it, I hadn't forgotten.
You know, I thought we were glitching again.
It's the wine. It's the wine. I'm glitching.
Yeah.
Search for Phil Walker Guitarist, and you can check out the videos behind the scenes and product demos and all that sort of stuff.
And my dog.
And your dog.
Cool. Well, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to everybody in the show and out there listening to this. And dark times at the moment, but there is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. Definitely. And we're going to be back with a vengeance once we hit the road. It's going to be, as soon as we hit the road, it's going to take off. It's going to be fantastic. So we can't wait to see you guys out there.
Can't wait to get Chris on stage. Woohoo!
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great, isn't it?
I'm just worried about what he's going to break, to be honest. I don't know.
I know.
Maybe
If
we won't
anyone
get him
comes to a
out.
show and sees Chris with a vinyl in his hands, just run.
You're going to be on stage going, "Where's Chris?" And then suddenly you hear in the kitchen, like far in the distance, all
Smash!
these plates smashing and
Me
effing and blinding.
Smash!
One thing we are looking at next for next year is revamping all our merchandise and what have you. So we're actually
Is that for this year, Phil, or next year?
Oh yeah, this year, yeah. Oh blimey, I'm still in 2020. Aren't I? Yeah. So what we're looking at when we go back out on the road is revamping the merch and what have you. And one thing I would love to do is a vinyl album. You just imagine there at the end of the night we're signing it and go, "Sorry, Chris doesn't sign vinyl."
If you want me to drop them, that's a special request. And
Oh, that'd be awesome, though. That'd be awesome. We should get a podcast T-shirt that says "Cue the music," or
yeah.
Oh,
or
mate,
Phil's
that's-
rant. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
good
that'd be
times
great.
ahead. Just got to get there, but we will get there. We will get there.
Indeed, we will. Indeed, we will.
no doubt at all.
Cool. Right then, guys. We will. We'll see you all next week. Stay tuned and stay safe out there. Look after yourselves and each other.
Catch you soon. Bye bye.
See you later. Bye.
Oh, I've dropped my nuts. Got some nuts left over from Christmas. I just dropped some.